Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to Africa Alliance. The Ivorian government is threatening retaliation against Burkina Faso after 6 alleged Ivorian spy agents were sentenced to death there this week. These men reportedly entered Burkina Faso in late 2025, posing as humble traders selling clothes and electronics. However, beneath this cover, they were allegedly carrying out intelligence operations linked to foreign interests. They targeted conflict zones where Burkinabe soldiers are actively fighting, approaching exhausted and vulnerable troops under the pretense of needing help to contact their families. Taking advantage of the soldiers' goodwill, they allegedly used their phones to install malicious software, gaining access to sensitive communications, military plans, and strategic locations, which were then transmitted remotely. Authorities in Burkina Faso arrested 4 of the suspects in December 2025 and 2 more recently, leading to their trial. Under laws reinstated in 2025 for espionage and high treason, the court handed down a death sentence by firing squad. In response, Ivory Coast has reacted with anger, insisting the accused were innocent and accusing the government of Captain Ibrahim Traoré of targeting Ivorian citizens. The Ivorian government has now vowed retaliation, warning that Burkinabe citizens within its borders could face similar legal consequences if accused of wrongdoing, raising concerns for the large Burkinabe community living and working there. Tensions have been further fueled by accusations that Ivory Coast has supported destabilizing forces in the region, claims it strongly denies. Meanwhile, Burkina Faso's leadership has remained largely silent publicly, signaling a calculated approach rather than immediate escalation. The government maintains that the executions were a lawful response to proven espionage and a firm stance on national sovereignty. As the situation develops, fears are growing that ordinary civilians, particularly migrants and workers, could become caught in the middle of a rapidly escalating political conflict between the two nations. Listen carefully. The so-called remote control masters in the West have long believed they could control the Sahel by dominating access to the sea. Because Burkina Faso is landlocked, the assumption has been that pressure through coastal nations like Ivory Coast could force it into submission. Now, as tensions rise following the spy case, the situation is shifting beyond courtrooms into trade and economic routes. Reports suggest that goods and trucks linked to Burkinabe traders are facing delays and restrictions at the port of Abidjan, raising concerns about the possibility of economic pressure being used as a political tool. There are also claims that additional fees and strict checks are being imposed on Burkinabe drivers at border points, officially under the justification of security concerns. This has added to the growing distrust between both sides, with each accusing the other of wrongdoing. While Ivory Coast presents its actions as necessary for national security and legal enforcement, critics argue that such measures could escalate tensions further and affect ordinary traders and civilians who rely on cross-border commerce for their livelihoods. At the same time, the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré appears to be maintaining a calculated silence, avoiding direct escalation while reinforcing internal security. Supporters interpret this as a sign of strategic confidence, while others see it as a cautious approach in a highly sensitive regional conflict. The broader Sahel region continues to face complex political and security challenges, and any economic disruption, especially involving key trade routes, could have significant consequences for stability and everyday life. Ultimately, what is unfolding is not just a dispute between two countries, but part of a larger struggle over influence, sovereignty, and regional alignment. Whether these tensions lead to further escalation or open the door for dialogue will depend on how both governments choose to act in the coming days, especially in balancing national security with the protection of civilians and economic stability.